So, in the last video, I said I wasn't too keen on making short videos anymore, but I had to make an exception. Someone thought I was important enough to get a key for their game that doesn't release for another 2 weeks. Developer Boom Games has been gracious enough to provide me with a copy of their upcoming game True Trap, which is set to release on Steam on
October 3rd.
Honestly, I'm touched. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna treat True Trap, oh geez, say that 3 times fast, better than any other game I've reviewed. Still gotta keep it fair, for the sake of my credibility, which admittedly went out the window many years ago, but nonetheless, let's talk about True Trap. Okay, so partway through editing this, I got an update for the game which also changed the name of the game to True Hate. The developer emailed me and said that True Hate better conveys the emotions you'll feel during gameplay. I can attest to this, but it's a bit weird that they're changing the name so close to release, but hey, whatever works, you know? Anyway, we start the game with a short cutscene where a big furry person looks at a blue thing, then walks off for whatever reason. Oh, okay, it's gonna fake me out, isn't it? Yep, there it is. This error message pops up out of nowhere, and then a mouse cursor tries to close it and fails and smacks into the big furry dude and kills them? First of all, what? Second of all, huh? This is the most nonsensical intro to any game I've ever seen, and like, I'm not hating it. They kind of baited us with that Ori-style intro and instead thrust us into the role of a sentient mouse cursor with legs, tasked with tracking down the error message and presumably closing it, and gotta give it props. It's unique. The plot may seem strange to you and not particularly logical, but it is unlikely that you saw something like that somewhere else. Yeah, no kidding. Anyway, it really doesn't take long to get thrust straight into gameplay. True Trap is a 2D platformer that looks more like a laid-back story-driven game considering the kind of visuals it's rocking, but it's actually a tough-as-hell game along the lines of something like Super Meat Boy, or more aptly, I Wanna Be the Guy. It's one of those platformers that does require skill and memorization, but also you'll need just as much sheer luck as raw skill. Sometimes platforming is a simple, straightforward affair. Other times you'll see the ground disappear beneath your feet. Platforms appear right in front of you, halting you in midair. Unassuming spikes that require you to land on them rather than avoid them. The catch here is that you only have a limited number of lives to complete each level, and if you run out, it's straight back to the start of the game like the giant noob that you are. Noob is a funny word, we should bring back noob. In an act of mercy, when you start the game you can decide how many lives you have to clear each level, be it as few as 1 or as many as 30. Bless the intrepid souls who try to clear the game on 1 life, because I had enough gosh dang trouble trying to get through each level with 30. And in fact, I'm gonna come clean, I couldn't beat it. I know, I hype myself up as the gamer raccoon, and yet I couldn't even make it past like the 10th level. For that reason I would probably label this as an impressions video rather than a proper review. On a basic level, True Trap controls pretty well. Your character, I don't know, let's just call him Bill, for no particular reason. Bill can move left and right and he can double jump and that's pretty much it. He moves at a decent pace and he has just enough control in the air to make precise jumps a real breeze. There are power-ups you can also acquire that give Bill a new ability, such as being able to fly, and yeah. If there are any other power-ups, I didn't find them. Like I said, I am bad. Bill's moveset is limited, so it's the level design that has to pick up the slack, and I think it does a pretty decent job. Spiky floors, thorny vines, sinking platforms, portals, extremely destructive laser beams of death, snails, it's all here. There were a lot of fun platforming challenges here and there that I enjoyed, even though I was grinding my teeth most of the time, but I think some of the areas suffer a little due to lack of visual clarity. While I think the art style is actually kinda pretty, seemingly taking inspiration from the Ori series of games, it comes at the cost of objects that are supposed to kill you blending in too much with the scenery, not popping out nearly as much as they should. While other times it's a little hard to tell which platforms are in the foreground and which ones are in the background, so it's a bit of a guessing game sometimes when leaping over pits or landing on platforms. This issue of visual clarity extends a little further too. For instance, there's a section very early on where you're on a platform and you have to jump to the side to avoid the lasers. The thing is, it's impossible to tell which direction the laser is firing and which side you should be jumping to. So the developer's solution was to put numbers on the platform that tell you in what order you should be jumping to each side. This problem could have been solved easily by not having the laser shoot into another hole. There's another part where you have to drop down through a platform to avoid a laser, but instead of it being a thin platform like Ori or Smash Brothers where it's obvious you can drop through, True Trap decides to just slap an arrow on it. It works, but it does come off as kind of :/ to me. I think that while the level design is usually of a good quality, there are a few areas where it definitely can't quite live up to other games in the genre. In particular, I'm not the biggest fan of how much it makes you wait around. The aforementioned and ever-present lasers take forever to toggle on and off most of the time, to the point where I would have enough time to fully brush my hair before they toggled off, and for reference, I have extremely thick hair. It takes fucking forever, it's a nightmare. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't think the idea of having a live system works all that well in a game like this. While parts of the game are fair the first time you jump through them, other parts are definitely not. It is physically impossible to see some hazards coming, and that comes with the territory, that's what these sorts of games are known for. But imagine using up all your lives trying to beat a level, and by some unforeseen miracle you make it to the end, only for the ground beneath your feet to randomly vanish. Boom! Game over. You have to start the entire game over, all because of something that was completely out of your control. To further add insult to injury, the game is super stingy with checkpoints. That is to say, there are no checkpoints. Getting cucked by some spikes raising up out of the ground that you had an iota of a second to react to sends you right back to the beginning of the level. And that's several minutes of progress lost sometimes. Each level is essentially a small gauntlet then, except instead of being filled with fair challenges that test your skill, the game likes to kill you right before you reach the end, forcing you to repeat the whole thing over again. I think the game would benefit by breaking its levels up into smaller chunks or adding at least one checkpoint into each level. Knowing I had to redo everything because of the inherently unfair design of these games really did drain me, and I think I would have been motivated to push myself further through the game if the game had smaller bite-sized levels along the lines of Super Meat Boy and Celeste. Two games that are challenging and even frustrating, but still always a joy to push through because the punishment for death was just putting you back at the start of that 30-second level or screen. Then again, I could be entirely fucking wrong. I play a lot of platformers, but usually not Kaizo-style ones. Maybe this is what fans of the genre want from a game like this. I don't know. I think some people might get a kick out of this, so long as they have a little bit of patience. I think it's also the perfect kind of game to watch a YouTuber rip their ball hairs off trying to beat, which, I mean, okay, that's one way to do it, but you'll think twice about using your gamer rage to trim your bush when you can get your hands on the Lawnmower 2.0 from Manscaped. I'm not sponsored, I'm sorry. But yeah, look, I think True Trap has a lot of potential. With some better level design, I reckon it could at least have a chance at competing with the greats of the genre. And also maybe if some of those bugs could get patched up, like there was this one part where platforms were supposed to disappear and they just kind of didn't. And there was another part where I'd bounce off a trampoline and needed to double jump over to the next one, but the game thought my jump had reset or something and I had to press A twice to even get one jump. But like I said, there's the groundwork for a great game here. It looks great, the soundtrack is also surprisingly amazing, and Bill controls pretty fluidly. I just personally think that this whole Kaizo platformer with live system makes things a little too frustrating in my opinion. You may feel different about that, and you might relish in the added challenge that True Trap presents. It might be for you, but it's not for me. I do feel slightly bad that the devs sent me a code without me even asking them for one, and then I'm just like, nah, me no likey much. But honestly, I still want to give a big thank you to Boom Games for supplying me with a code. They seem like pretty cool lads, and if you have a passing interest in games like this, it comes out on Steam on October 3rd. So maybe keep an eye out for reviews from other channels and outlets in the lead up to then too. Don't trust the word of just one raccoon who's kinda bad at games. I'm begging you, actually, don't. Big thank you to the patient bastards who've been pledging to me even in my unfortunate absence, including Dakota Lewis, Kay, Damien Maxted, Nation McAltile, Artyom, Kurote the Kitsune, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Pear Basket, Run Fast Air Smith, Foxifier, Ratchet Mania, Alice Whitaker Bartlett, Matt Beaker, Julian Brown, Duncan Austin, Heat Hoot Skyet, Sheepy, Waste for USA, Leo Alex50, Nathaniel Forrest, Travis Miranda, Johannes Anderson, Philip Elk, Sparky Butterfloof, Lazaro Dave, The Ruby Red Rose, Laurent LaCroix, Gampnikan, Keto, The Dervinator, A00, Pastor Boy, Isaac Lamp, and everyone else of course. Also, I'll start showing fan art during videos starting with the next one if you're wondering where it is this time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I won't bore you with any more smelly outro stuff, so I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!